All right, we were talking about the tools that you're going to use or the media that you're going to use when you finish with your project, with your final project. So I introduced the chalk pastels. You should have a box of your own. Mine is, like I said, very well used and probably 20 years old. So I'm missing some of the colors, but these are fine tools. Grumbacher makes a wonderful product. And now we're going to practice a little bit with your chalk so that you get some skills and you feel comfortable. And when you apply it to your final drawing, you're going to be a lot more confident. Chalk is soft color, pigment. Most of you have probably used it on the sidewalk or in some other situation, but these are a finer quality. The pigments are a little more intense and yeah, they're just easier and nicer to use. They should not be used on the sidewalk. So you want to, it has two different applications. You can apply it with the point of the chalk and get a line, or you can apply it with the flat side of the chalk and get a much wider color. Either one is okay depending on what you want to use it for. The nice thing about chalk is that it smears and it blends really, really well. So you can use your finger to smear the chalk. And it gives it a soft quality. You lose that texture that the chalk has, but then you have dirty fingers. Or you can use a tissue, which is what I prefer. I just wrap the tissue around my finger to make a little point, like a pencil point, and then you can use that to smear. It smears a little better, and then you don't have dirty fingers. You can blend your colors. Find a clean spot on your tissue. So that you get a nice gradation from color to color. This will be good. We got pink, got a little violet. And then I'm going to add some red. You're going to get a kind of a sunset sort of thing going, which is really nice. You know, it has a lot of applications and a lot of uses. There are a couple other tools that you can use with chalk. This is a product, it's called a Fantastic. And I got this in the scrapbook section. And it has a little cotton tip on it. And you would do the same thing. You would apply your chalk to the paper, either on the flat side or a line. And then you use this to blend and soften. It's nice because it gets into smaller areas. You know, your finger's kind of big and awkward, and when you wrap it with a tissue, you get bigger and more awkward. But here you can take it into a tiny spot. So you had just a little area right here, and it's very small. And it'd be good for little tiny spots. But it is kind of, it's a pricey little tool. I mean, you're going to spend a couple of dollars on it, and then it gets dirty and you don't get to use it anymore. So I would suggest, if you want to do that, you just get a box of Q-tips. 500 for like $2. And you got plenty of tools. And these are disposable and we don't really care. They do the same job. Get a color out of here. Get a line or a big space, or maybe I just want to make a small shape. And the Q-tip will do the same thing as the Fantastic. It can stay in a small area for a much cheaper cost, and you get 500. So that's a good tool. We have another tool that can be used for blending. It's called a tortilla, and it's a professional drawing tool, usually used for like the pencils and charcoal, which we're not doing today, but it's a blending tool as well. This is a very nice tool. You can see it's doing a great job of blending and spreading out those colors. And you can sharpen it so it gets teeny tiny spots, if that's something that you need to use. And you can get these in the drawing area with other drawing tools as well. So those are a couple of your choices for your tools. Let's look at some techniques that we can use with our chalk. Okay. Now, a chalk is really cool. It makes a very nice edge if you have a paper to use as an edge. I had one. There it is. And I think I showed you this before, but I want you to try it yourself. So, I'm going to take my color. This is my edge here. I'm going to apply the color to the edge of the paper. Then I'm going to take my tissue and push it onto the paper. When you lift, you get this straight edge and then the dispersed color. And that can be a lot of fun. You can move the paper around. Doesn't matter if you go over the first color on your edge. Overlap them. Push the color onto the paper. And you can start to get kind of a stencil thing looking. Try different colors, see what they look like when they blend together and they overlap each other. Too many and you'll start to lose that edge. When you keep going over it with the tissue, you're going to keep blending it out and out, and you're going to lose some of those edges. So I'm going to give you a few minutes, and I want you to experiment with this. I want you to experiment with your chalks. I want you to try blending with a tissue. See if you can find a Q-tip someplace around the house and try that as well on your paper. And see some of the different effects you can get. Make big lines, make fat lines, make skinny lines, make little tiny shapes, make bigger shapes, and see what you got. And then I'll be back in a minute.